As we go through this video, we'll be revisiting with these landowners to illustrate sustainable management practices. As we get started, I'd like to introduce you to a concept called site potential. Each property is different from another, varying in size, soils, vegetative communities, and other characteristics. One resource that may make the biggest impact on your property is water. Landowners must consider each of these factors to determine the site potential for their property. Looking at our featured landowners will help illustrate my point. As we look at the Brown and Spence properties, it's obvious that there is a big difference in the site potential. The Browns is a dry land property that is really an ancient sand dune, which means there is very little topsoil. In contrast, the Spence's is irrigated and close to the Bighorn River with deep, fairly productive soils. So the site potential of the Spence's easily allows for a highly productive hayfield, while the site potential of the Browns only allows for some dry land, shallow-rooted range plants. Most of you probably have a vision of what your property will look like. You must remember that this vision of what your property should be will be bounded by the site potential. This is critical to keep in mind while you shop for property. A vision of flowing, productive hayfields will not work on many Wyoming sites. Having a vision of your property that isn't possible within the site potential can result in disappointment and degraded lands. Tim and Krista both recognized this from the beginning. When they were initially shopping for property, they realized that lush, irrigated properties were probably above what they wanted to spend. They also realized that a less expensive dry land property would meet their needs. These included space for their daughter to ride her horse and their son to ride his go-kart, and limited pasture for the two horses while they would be away on summer camping trips. The rest of the time, their horses would be in the corral and fed purchased hay. Alternatively, Spence's wanted to keep 5 horses and raise hay from their own land. So approach this concept with your eyes wide open, planning how to achieve your vision, goals, and lifestyle as bounded by limitations of the site potential. If you've spent any time looking over properties that have had some grazing on them, you've probably seen some places where the property's site potential did not mesh with the landowner's vision or management strategy. When this occurs, it is usually that the landowners did not consider site potential and overgrazing occurs. I've never met a landowner who set out to achieve this, but it happens because of lack of realistic expectations and planning. All too often, folks with good intentions toward their horses unwittingly damage the land by not managing their horses' grazing behavior.